This is a computer I've built for one of my subscribers, and he's going to use it for gaming and work. And you're probably going to say, well, it's obviously going to be like a 9950 X3D, but no, this is a Core Ultra build. And though it's not a cheap build, we're not using some stupidly expensive parts that are absolutely useless and are just basically pure marketing for people who have extra money. It's gonna be interesting. Let's begin. But first, why the Core Ultra build, and why specifically this Core Ultra 7 265K? Well, because 285K is 2 times more expensive and only slightly faster. It absolutely doesn't make sense to buy 285K. The 265K is the sweet spot in Core Ultra. But why Core Ultra in general? There's a recent YouTube video from this channel, i2heart, which does amazing game tests. I'm gonna leave the link in the description, and it really well explains how Core Ultra does in gaming compared to Ryzen CPUs. But a quick and rough explanation, because in synthetic benchmarks it's basically as fast as 9950X. 285K is actually slightly faster, but 265K would be very much on par with 9950X. But you might say, well, that's only synthetic benchmarks, but what about games? And in gaming, compared to 9950X, it's gonna be slightly faster or have the same performance, and in rare occasions, it's gonna be a little slower. It's not gonna be the X3D chips in competitive titles, but it's gonna perform good in all other games. It's 285K on the slides, but 265K is only slightly slower, so the performance is going to be very comparable. And the best part is that if you heavily overclock it, it's going to perform even better. You can see up to 20% more FPS in games. So if you plan to pair it with something like 5070 Ti, it will be more than enough to fully saturate your GPU in 2K and 4K. And some people just like Intel in general, even if there's no upgrade path. So 265K, 9950X performance for the 9700X price. Now let's discuss what motherboard we selected. And if you think about expensive motherboard for any platform, you're probably thinking about something with Hero, Xtreem, Master, Ace in the name with the price tag of $1,000 or more. But those motherboards are basically marketing scams. We don't buy that kind of stuff. Our motherboard of choice was Z890 Taichi OCF. And though a decent Core Ultra motherboard can be bought for $200 easily, this thing will allow us to squeeze absolute maximum out of our Core Ultra build. And there it is, and we actually got it used, basically in open box condition, from another enthusiast that didn't need it anymore, so we got it even cheaper. So what are the benefits of buying basically an overclocking motherboard? The closest analog for this motherboard is Apex from ASUS and Tachyon from Gigabyte, and you're getting basically the best this platform can offer, and probably even more, but without the $1,000 price tag. First of all, only 2 memory sticks, so you're getting the best possible memory compatibility and speeds you can only squeeze out of DDR5. Second, there are 6 M.2s on this motherboard, and they can all be used simultaneously. They do not cut GPU lanes like you can see on Ryzen motherboards. The heatsinks are actually quick release with no tools, and this one closest to CPU runs 5.0 lanes. All others run 4.0 lanes and also have this very decent heatsink. 5 out of 6 M.2s have quick release toolless heatsinks, and only one you need to use a screwdriver to actually use. The 2 full-length PCI Express slots are actually connected to the CPU, so you can actually use 2 graphics cards here. And on the back, I would say it's decent. It could use more USB ports really, but it's still okay. And there's a dual bias switch that you can see on the top, so you can experiment with overclocking to your heart's content. And of course, it has a ridiculously overpowered VRM for any CPU you might want to install here. For the RAM, we're gonna use these CUDIMM memory sticks that are 2 by 24 gigabytes. These are T4 Xtreem. They come with an XMP profile of 8400 MHz, and they come with a clock driver. That's why they are CUDIMM memory sticks. They come with a huge heatsink with no RGB. You can really push these memory sticks very far. And they were sent to me by Team Group for this build, so thank you Team Group. And in this video we're gonna overclock them to the maximum we can possibly squeeze out of the memory controller on the CPU. And these huge heatsinks are gonna do a very good job of helping us with that. For the case, I'm using Ocypus Iota C70 Curve, a very new case from Ocypus. It's a huge ATX glass case, and in Slavic countries we call such cases fish tanks. And this one comes for around $100 where I live. It's a very decent case, there's really nothing to complain about. And though it comes with a curved glass, it's not a monolithic curved glass like you can see in Jonesbow TK3 or on some other cases, but it's still good. It comes with 4 pre-installed ARGB fans. And these fans are cheap. In my country you can get 3 more for $15. It does not come with a fan hub, so you have to connect all the fans continuously, but it's not a big deal, it's just slightly more cable managing. There's a Type-C and 2 USB 3s on the top, and also a dust filter for the top fans. There's also a dust filter on the bottom, but there is no dust filter on the side. Our water cooling also comes from Ocypus. This is Sigma L36, fresh new AIO. The part that comes with the screen is attachable by magnets, and though it is round, the screen itself is not round, obviously. You don't have to attach the screen and use it, but it would look a little weird. And next is the power supply that also came from Ocypus, and it's Iota P750. And that's the 750 watt power supply that comes with 10 years warranty. Absolutely decent power supply with detachable cables. It's based on a decent platform and there's really nothing to complain about. And you probably guessed that Ocypus sent stuff for this build, so yeah, a huge thanks to them. They have a lot of good products and you should check them out. For the SSD, we're going to use AORUS 1TB SSD that comes with the best possible PCI Express 4.0 speeds, and it has a DRAM buffer. The second SSD for the game library has not arrived yet. For the graphics card, we're going to use RTX 5080 from Gigabyte. This is Gigabyte Windforce SFF. SFF stands for small form factor. These are slightly less bigger GPUs that you can fit in smaller cases. And it's the cheapest available 5080 from Gigabyte. And though it uses Gigabyte's thermal liquid pads, they did not go anywhere. They're staying at their place. This GPU was not new. It was used for a couple of months at this point, so we're installing it only now. It was purchased beforehand, just like the motherboard. It's not going to be as good as like gaming version of this GPU from Gigabyte in terms of temperature and noise, but it's still very good. Now let's begin the build process. And in terms of cable managing, I have very simple rules. It has to be decent looking on the front side, and it has to be more or less okay on the back side. If something has to be replaced, it has to be done easily. So I'm adding 3 extra fans on the bottom. They are reverse fans, so they're gonna add some extra intake, so we're gonna have some more airflow. Only $15 per 3. After installing the motherboard into the case, I installed the CPU, 265K. You can get the KF version if you do not need the GPU, but we decided we want the extra integrated graphics. You may need to troubleshoot your computer, and integrated graphics really helps. The power supply comes with decent flexible cables. They're easy to cable manage and they're actually good looking. Always make sure the 12VH power is plugged all the way, or else you're gonna have a bad time. And though it's not mandatory, I decided to connect the extra 6-pin power to the motherboard for the extra power for the PCI Express slot. If you're thinking, this should have been a Ryzen build with the amount of money we invested, but 9950X3D would be a lot more expensive. And you know that Intel CPUs actually behave a lot better in games if there's a lot of stuff running in the background, just because the ring bus is much better than the Infinitive Fabric. That was actually one of the reasons we also choose Core Ultra. So you can install this AIO in many possible ways, but I decided to install it like this because I thought it's gonna be the best looking this way. And because the screen part is on the magnets, you can actually install it in any possible way and the screen would still look down. Next is our memory kit, and you know you can actually install CUDIMM memory into any system. If it doesn't support CUDIMM, it will just work as ordinary memory sticks. But Core Ultra fully supports them, so they will work properly. Next we're gonna install the SSD, and though this memory slot definitely has a bigger heatsink, it makes no sense to install our SSD there. It makes sense to install a bigger 5.0 SSD when it arrives. We're going to install our system SSD here, where it also runs from CPU lanes, but it's 4.0 lanes. So when another SSD arrives, the owner can easily install it into the second slot that has a better heatsink and toolless installation. And you don't forget to remove the peel from the thermal pad, or it's gonna just suffocate your SSD. Next is installing the GPU, and it's a very simple process, and don't forget to plug your 12-inch power all the way. It's not gonna stop it from dying from time to time anyway, but still do your best. And this is how it looks, and you might be wondering, well, this support bracket that comes with the GPU, it's not very well looking, and the owner and I agree with you, so we're gonna install a different solution, a different support bracket that's gonna be somewhere on the bottom and invisible. I'm gonna ship the system without GPU installed, so it's not a big deal. It's gonna stay without the bracket now. The owner is a grown boy, he can manage to install it himself. So now the final part. We remove the peel and take a look how the system looks fully assembled. And there it is, the fully assembled system and also fully configured. And I think it's really good looking. When Ocypus offered me to send this case and this AIO, I instantly said yes because I knew it's gonna be awesome. And the RAM and GPU design are also a good fit into this case. The motherboard itself is also very good looking, and this RGB on the VRM heatsink is awesome. And I still don't know how to pronounce it, Taichi or Taichi. Let me know in the comments, please. You might say maybe a screen on the VRM heatsink would do better, maybe, but in our case there's no screen. You also might say it's an overclocking motherboard and there are many buttons and switches that help overclocking. Why bother buying it if you're not gonna use it? Oh, we're actually gonna use it, just not to that extent. The GPU looks really in its place in this build, and the 12-inch power cable is actually really good looking, unlike many other PSUs. And the screen on the AIO is actually pretty decent. We're gonna talk about the software that comes with this AIO in a second, but it's good. Now about the huge red bright LED that's on top of the GPU. That is the dual bias LED, and I haven't found how to turn it off yet, and it's really bright. There is probably a bias option somewhere that will allow me to disable it, but I haven't found it yet. I really wish it wasn't that bright. It's like really catches your eye instantly. But otherwise the system looks beautiful. Now you're probably wondering, how did we configure this system? What did we overclock and how far did we go? And we overclocked basically everything we could. So as you might know, this is not my native language channel. I translate some of my videos to this channel, but I actually do a lot of tech streams on my native language. So I invited my friend who's a professional overclocker, and we pushed this memory to its limits for 24/7 operation. We also slightly pushed the CPU with 200 MHz on all cores. Ring was set to 40 and D2D and NGU was set to 33. 9000 memory did not hold the stress test, so I had to slightly reduce it to 8933. And I think the result is actually really good. And one thing I have to tell you is the whole goal was to use this PC without the RGB, so I still plugged all the cables in, but the owner is gonna just turn it off. That's why the GPU and RAM is without RGB. And now let's take a look at my cable management, and it's not that pretty. As already said, the front side has to look good, but on the back, well, I may not bother that much. It actually looks worse when you're looking at it through the video. In 3D it looks better. Honestly, it's not that chaotic and messy. It's like 3 out of 5. If you needed to replace a fan, it's not going to be that hard. There are no permanent cable ties here. Let's discuss the AIO software, and it's actually really good. You can configure it any way you like. The pre-installed themes are amazing, just like this cat playing with the box. The white text on the gray background doesn't look that good, but that's me just being stupid. I should have changed the text color to black or something. What I'm saying is that it's very easy to work with. This is very decent software. And the software for the small digital screen on the bottom is very simple. It's either CPU or GPU temperature. You can switch from units of common sense to units of democracy and freedom, or just turn it off completely if you don't like it. Both screens occupy USB 2.0 ports on the motherboard. This motherboard has only 2 USB 2.0 headers, so no extra USB 2.0 ports for you. Now, the AIO has different fans than the ones that come with the case. They're not as bright in terms of RGB and have slightly different RGB colors. Let's listen to the case ambient noise. All the fans are set to minimal possible RPM, and it's actually really good. Let's ramp up the 3 top fans. And honestly, the top 3 fans, they don't sound that great. The overall sound is not as good as the other fans. They're actually very loud at top speed, which is 2000 RPM. This is probably for the sake of the heatsink airflow. Take a listen at 7 other case fans at full speed. They are not as loud and they are a lot more pleasant to the ear, at least in my opinion. So if you're planning a full Ocypus build, I would probably replace the 3 top fans with the case fans. You probably would suffer a bit in terms of AIO maximum performance, but I would definitely sacrifice it for a more pleasant fan noise. The AIO managed to dissipate 280 watts of heat from the CPU. Now, if you want to know all the parts from this build, here they are on the screen. And to be clear again, you do not need such an expensive motherboard for your Core Ultra build. There are plenty sub $200 motherboard that will allow you to build an excellent Core Ultra build. Overall, I really enjoyed doing this build and I think the result is pretty good. Feel free to let me know in the comment section, would you build a Core Ultra build right now or would you rather build Ryzen system? I completely agree that for a less expensive system, you'd probably build something like a 14600K and DDR4. But for a more expensive PC, would it be Ryzen, or would it be Core Ultra, or would it be a just 14 Gen? Let me know in the comments below, and please like and subscribe if you like the channel.